Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Hot Mess Podcast for 2023. Wow! Okay, so I am the same bitch, just a better bitch this year, I've decided. Today we're talking all about our goals for the new year, how we're going to achieve them, the standards we're setting for ourselves and also for the wider community, our expectations and how we are treated, and how to make sure we are treated in the appropriate manner, making sure that we are putting ourselves first, we are showing up for ourselves, and doing all the good deeds for ourselves in the new year. I did take some time off for Christmas and New Year's. It was pretty, I had a fun time. I spent Christmas at home with my family, and then I worked on New Year's Eve, and so did my boyfriend. So we just went into the city and watched the fireworks, which I don't really want to do again in the future. I've done that twice now. The first time was because I was working as a dancer at an event, so we kind of got to watch the fireworks from the event. But this year we went into the city via the tram to watch the fireworks, and then we walked home, and my boyfriend, he lives a few suburbs out of the CBD, so we walked from the CBD to his house. I don't know how we did it. My feet were hurting, but we managed to, so it was really fun. But it's also so crowded, and I feel like after the last few years we've had of lockdowns and not being in large crowds, being in an environment like that, I was so hyper alert of my surroundings and the people around me. So I'm not sure if that is something I would want to do again in the future. I've also decided that I'm quitting alcohol, or I'm going to drink very sparingly this year. And that started from just before Christmas. I kind of made that pact with myself because I had a pretty bad experience just before Christmas with alcohol, which left quite literally a bad taste in my mouth. So I didn't really drink Christmas. I think I had one glass of champagne, and I was like, that's sickening, not doing that again. And then New Year's, Kiri made me an espresso martini, and because he made it, I was going to drink it. And then even after that, I was like, nah, not for me. Which is sad because I'm a hot mess. I've always been the hot mess. Not necessarily in terms of drinking and making sure I'm wasted, because I know that's not a healthy lifestyle to live. But I'm a girl who loves her Aperols. I'm a girl who loves her Cosmos and her spicy margaritas. And even the thought of it makes me feel nauseous. So New Year's Eve, I didn't really drink, and I haven't had anything to drink since then. My plans for this year in terms of alcohol consumption is to only drink on various special occasions. I've got a few weddings coming up, so I will probably have a glass of champagne, especially at my sister's wedding. But aside from that, I don't really plan on taking it any further than that. And my body will thank me for that probably. My liver will definitely thank me for that. So that's one healthy habit that I'm taking into the new year. I wouldn't necessarily call it a resolution. I've made plenty of New Year's resolutions in the past. Some have worked out in my favor, some not so much. This podcast was a New Year's resolution, actually, of mine last year. I have my diary with me from last year where I wrote down all my New Year's resolutions. And one of the top points is make the damn podcast. It had been something that was on my mind for so long. So I'm very thankful for the fact that I'm now going into another year of podcasting. Well, technically, I haven't even made it to a whole year of podcasting just yet. So this is going to be fun. I'm really excited for all my plans that I have for the podcast this year. I'm expanding it even further and wanting to broaden the community and bring people on as guests who I think the community will really value from listening to the stories of and stuff like that. So I'm really excited for those plans. So I guess my resolution is to go take it further. A really fun thing that my family and I did on Christmas was sum up 2022. Oh my God, I forgot what year it was last year. 2022 in one word, and then sum up the word that you would like to take into the new year. So my word last year was fresh because I went on a really refreshing holiday. I had a fresh start with a new job, new hair, like all of these fun new things that just felt like I was freshening up my life. This year, I'm taking the word lead because I want to be a good leader for my community that I'm in, for the people who I work with. I want to show up as a good leader. I want to be just a better version of myself in terms of how I hold myself for the wider community. And that is something that I'm really focusing on this year. I just want to hold myself well and really know what I want and know who I am. And I think this year more than ever, I really have a good understanding of who I am and what I deserve and what my morals and values are. And if things aren't aligning with them in the way that I'd like them to, I'm either going to change what is going on so that it is a healthier environment for me to be in and for the people around me to be in, because I think quite often what I think is morally incorrect, a lot of other people do too. I think I've got a good sense of justice in that sense. So if I see something that I think is wrong, I'm going to stand up and change it. And I'm also going to be very firm with knowing what I deserve. So if somebody is mistreating me this year, I am not going to just let them walk over me. I'm just going to say, like, I'm going to put my foot down and be like, you know what, I don't appreciate that behavior. I think this is what needs to happen in the future so that we don't have to have these kinds of conversations. In more or less words. I don't know, maybe I'm entering my villain era. Ew. I don't know. Well, maybe it's a villain era. Maybe I'm just like, I am the strongest mentally I have ever been. And I'm proud of that. I did make a vision board for 2023. It was actually very therapeutic making it because I really know, like, I think this year I'm genuinely going into it being like, I know what I want for myself, which previously, I think because I've been really struggling these last few years to really know who I am and like create my identity outside of being a dancer, for instance, this year more than ever, I'm like, oh no, I know where I want to go with life. And it's really nice to be able to see it visually and be like, yeah, this is who I am. This is who I want to be. So I've got a lot of stuff about travel, about business, stuff that I want to do for myself and my health. Also being a PCOS girly, this is a topic I'm going to be discussing in future episodes, but I'm focusing more on making sure my health is good in terms of my PCOS and learning how I can moderate certain things in my life to accommodate for a health issue that I previously have not sought to take as much care of. Because my issue with being a PCOS girly is also the fact that so many people have it these days that mentally I have not seen it as a huge issue, but it is something that I do need to prevent. So I am taking, I hate to say it, like because of my struggles with eating and food in the past, I'm now this year entering more of a mindset where I do have to be more alert of food consumption and what it is that I'm consuming for actual health benefits though, not just for looks wise. It's like, no, internally I need to do this. So that's kind of a resolution as well, making sure that I'm putting my health and my needs first in that aspect too. Another thing I really want to do this year is, I've saved money, so I'm probably going to move apartments just because the cost of living these days, am I right? Yeah, my apartment is currently just too much, and I'm at a point in my life where I don't really want to go back to sharing an apartment. I've become very fond of my own space and being able to have that this past year. So I probably will move just into somewhere where the rent's a little bit cheaper. That or, like your girl is going to go back into hustle mode. But I am also trying to sort out a work-life balance a little bit more. I think I kind of made that realization today because I caught up with my gorgeous friend Emily, who I haven't seen in a hot minute. She and I went to full-time dance together. We really bonded through that, and I think like she's very inspiring to me, and we discussed potentially having her on an episode in the future because I think she's got a lot of interesting things to talk about. You might remember her from my old YouTube channel, although some of that I'm like, that needs to be deleted just because I am embarrassed. But I caught up with her today and we were talking about how something that we've both struggled with previously is creating a healthy work-life balance, especially when we were dancers, because it was like turning your passion into a career. And it was kind of the sense of, if you don't put your entire being into this one thing, then you will not see any sort of success. And I think now I'm at a point where I've kind of carried that mindset with me just too much in my life, and I have not been able to create a balance in my life. Especially this previous year, aside from when I was able to travel overseas and stuff, when I was back in Australia, I was mostly just spending time with my boyfriend and his family because they are in the same city as me. I wasn't able to go home and visit my own family as much as I would like to. And along with that were like my friends who I didn't really get to see as much. And it's hard because we're also at this point in our lives where we are all figuring out our own thing. Like, for instance, my sister is now engaged and I'm helping her plan her wedding. My other friends are getting married, and luckily we're all going on the honeymoon, so we'll all be able to hang out then. But obviously I do want to hang out with them before all of that. You know, I don't want to suddenly show up for this major life event and not have been there to support them prior to that. But stuff like that, like they've just built a house and they're getting married, and then I've got friends who are really focusing on business, or friends who've moved to the other side of the country, and then I've got friends who've moved to the other side of the world. So I think we're at a really pivotal point in our 20s where we're all sort of thinking about what we want to solidify in our lives. And for me, for so long, I've felt like this loss of identity because of my changing careers and kind of a loss of passion of something that I loved for as long as I did, that now I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm still figuring out who I am, of course, but I'm now like, okay, let's get down to the bottom of what it is I really want. And so I'm trying to focus on that, but I also need to figure out the balance in my life. And that comes with making sure I put other people at the forefront of my mind and making sure that I do have a better social life, which will be a lot healthier for me and the people in my life. I think it's lovely that I do have these unconditional friendships where we can go months without seeing each other and then hang out and it's like no time has changed. But I don't want to do that forever. I want to be able to just go out for drinks on a Friday night, me being sober, lol, but be able to catch up and just have fun. I feel like I haven't had enough of that fun in my life this past year. I saw this TikTok of this girl and she was like, I'm not setting resolutions this year. I've just decided that I'm going to be hotter and wealthier in the new year and it's going to happen. And I've kind of set that precedent for myself as well. I am just getting hotter and I am getting wealthier and I am just being even more of a bad bitch. And I love that about me. One thing that I am doing is I am being delusional this year in the best way. I am testing out what people call lucky girl syndrome. You've probably seen this on TikTok, and it's basically where you trick your mind into making everything in your life good, if that makes sense. It's like if you enter everything with a positive mindset, then nothing can really go wrong because you're making things good for yourself. So basically, lucky girl syndrome is like a form of manifesting, I guess, where you say to yourself multiple times throughout the day, out loud, you say, I'm the luckiest girl in the world. I always seem to get what I want. Things always tend to go my way. Even through hardships, I come out of the other side with the things that I wanted in life. And things are always good in my life. New opportunities are always coming my way. Stuff like that. And so you're basically bringing to life these mantras and manifesting only good things to enter your life. And if you enter everything with a positive mindset, then you are more likely to come out the other side of it with a really positive mindset. Unless, of course, you're in a very toxic environment. In that case, I just suggest you leave, which is another thing that I'm really prescribing to this year, is cutting off anything that's really toxic in my life, which is bringing me anxiety or any sort of negative feelings. We want to be getting off, well, me personally, like I've been on antidepressants for the last, since 2020, and these last, I'd say 6 months, I'm weaning off them, and it is my goal to be able to not need them in my life. And honestly, they were just used as an anti-anxiety type of medication rather than depression. I don't suffer with depression. However, I am an anxious girl. I stress out about things that are out of my control a lot of the time. And so I think having this form of manifesting where I'm saying things always seem to go my way, I'm the luckiest girl in the world, I will be tricking myself into believing that things are good. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Sometimes some false positivity in your life is needed. Manifesting in general, I used to do it a lot. In some of the hardest years of my life, I used to say to myself and to the people around me, today is a good day because I decided that it would be. I would say that literally every single day. And it wasn't until I started saying that I really started to believe it, and I realized that I am in power of how the day goes, and I can choose how I enter the day and how I enter a workspace with a certain mindset. So I think manifesting is really going to help me this year. And just in general, using my voice for good. I want to make sure that I am raising awareness for things that matter, for causes that matter, standing up for people who need the extra support, and also standing up for myself. We are not doormats in 2023. We know what is good for us and we know what we deserve. I also think a bit of tough love is necessary this year. And I mean that in the way where it's like, I'm not going to belittle you. I'm not going to talk you down. I am here to tell you that you just need to get started on achieving your goals. Start today. It doesn't matter if you think that people won't like you or if you think you'll be made fun of. I'm sure I get made fun of for being on a podcast, or that I previously had a YouTube channel, or that I'm active on TikTok, but I'm at the point where I'm like, I cannot care about what people think, because these are things that I genuinely find fun and entertaining. So just start doing what makes you happy. And if you want to start a business, or if you want to start a new challenge, just do it. We're Nikeing it. We're just doing it. What is stopping us this year? I think this year a lot of people are going to find great success, and we're just expecting the best for each other and the best for ourselves. I've already had ups and downs this year. It's only been 1 week, but I know that I can get through this because I am a tough bitch. And you're a tough bitch. We're tough bitches, and tough bitches help each other out. And so I'm always here to offer advice on topics. Write into me. You know what I mean. On Instagram, send me DMs about anything that you would like me to discuss. That is something I really want to do this year as well. Make sure that I'm giving out the right advice for the right questions, or having the conversations that people need to hear. And I think that is something that will be very healthy for this podcast to explore. I think this year is going to be exciting. I think we're going to learn a lot about ourselves, and we're going to be messy along the way, but that's a part of growing up. And I may be entering my mid-20s this year, but we're going to have fun, and it'll just be a really whole new journey for us, because it is such a different stage in my life that I haven't really had to think about previously, and now I'm really in the midst of it. So we'll have many more stories to come. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a beautiful, fun, and messy week ahead. I will see you all next week for another episode of Hot Mess Podcast. Thank you for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a review, some stars if you can. Don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already. And you can follow us on all platforms at hotmess_podcast. I love you guys very much, and I'll see you next week.